All right, let's dive right in. If you're prepping for your OBA 411 exam, you are in exactly the right place. We're about to unpack one of the most passionate, revolutionary, and, frankly, fascinating periods in English literature, Romanticism.
So let's start with a single, powerful question. What happens when raw human feelings declare war on cold, hard facts? That question right there. That's the key that unlocks the entire Romantic movement. It's a clash of titans, the heart versus the head.
And here it is, the big one. You see that exam alert on screen? That means this is non-negotiable, an absolute must-know definition. Romanticism was this huge intellectual and artistic wave that championed emotion, celebrated the individual, and just totally unleashed the imagination. It was a complete rejection of all the strict rules and rationality that came before it. Honestly, this right here is the foundation for everything we're about to cover.
So, let's break down its DNA. At its heart, Romanticism is really about 5 key things. First, a huge emphasis on emotion and passion, the idea that what you feel is the truth. Second, a celebration of the individual, your personal experience, your unique vision, that's what matters. Third, a profound awe of nature. And we're not just talking pretty landscapes, but nature as a spiritual, powerful force. Fourth, the power of the imagination, the ability to dream and see beyond the everyday world. And finally, a real fascination with the supernatural, the mystical, and the mysterious.
Now, to really understand Romanticism, you have to know what it was fighting against. It wasn't born in a vacuum. It was a powerful, deliberate rebellion.
This slide just perfectly illustrates the battle lines. On one side, you have neoclassicism, the age of reason. Think order, balance, and societal rules. Logic was king. And on the other side, Romanticism, the age of emotion. It champions the subjective, your personal vision, the spontaneous spirit of the individual. It wasn't just a shift, it was a total revolution in how people thought.
Okay, look at this. This is your mental anchor, the image that's going to stick. On your left, that's the romantic spirit, a passionate, wild-haired artist just throwing their soul onto the canvas in a burst of chaotic, emotional color. Then on the right, you've got the neoclassical ideal, a machine, a robot, perfectly painting by the numbers, following all the rules. One is about pure expression, the other is about perfect control.
The Romantics weren't just reacting to artistic rules, they were reacting to the world literally changing around them. They looked at the smoke-belching factories of the Industrial Revolution, and they didn't see progress. They saw a force that dehumanized people, that turned them into cogs in a machine. Writers like William Blake contrasted the dark, satanic mills of the city with the purity of rural life, making a powerful statement: the human soul is way more important than any economic machine.
So, we have a philosophical rebellion and an industrial one brewing. But what was the political event that finally lit the fuse?
1789, the French Revolution. Its electrifying cry for liberty, equality, and fraternity echoed all the way across Europe, and you better believe the early Romantic writers heard it loud and clear. This wasn't just politics, it was a promise of a new world, a new way of being, all built on individual freedom and social justice.
All right, time for a quick active recall to really lock this in. What were those 3 revolutionary principles? I'm giving you 10 seconds to think, starting now.
That's right. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Burn those 3 words into your memory. They were the absolute heartbeat of the revolution and the initial inspiration for the Romantic poets.
But the relationship wasn't simple. It soured over time. As you can see in that early phase, poets like Wordsworth and Coleridge were full of revolutionary enthusiasm. But then came the Reign of Terror. The hope turned to disillusionment. This meant the second wave of Romantics, people like Byron and Shelley, had a much more complex view. They still believed in the spirit of revolution, but they were deeply critical of its violent reality.
Hey, remember how one of the core ideas was a profound awe of nature? This right here is our 2-minute echo for that idea. That feeling of being completely overwhelmed by the power and majesty of nature, so vast it's almost terrifying, it has a specific name: the sublime. For the Romantics, experiencing the sublime was a way to connect with something infinite, something far beyond the mundane world. It was a true spiritual experience.
Now that we have the context, let's meet the titans of the age. These are the rock stars of the movement, and for your exam, you absolutely need to know their names and their core contributions.
First up, William Wordsworth. If you remember one thing, remember this. He is considered the father of English Romanticism.
His collaboration with Coleridge on a book called Lyrical Ballads back in 1798, that's often seen as the official start of the whole movement in England. For Wordsworth, nature wasn't just scenery, it was a teacher, a healer, and a direct line to the divine.
Next is Wordsworth's brilliant partner, Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So where Wordsworth found spirit in the natural world, Coleridge explored the landscapes of the mind. He was fascinated by the supernatural, by dreams, and the immense, mysterious power of the imagination. His poems like The Rime of the Ancient Mariner and Kubla Khan, they take you to some strange, fantastical, and deeply psychological places.
Then came the second wave, featuring rebellious figures like Lord Byron and the radical Percy Bysshe Shelley. But let's focus on Mary Shelley, because she did something absolutely incredible. She took all the era's anxieties about revolution, about science, about playing God, and she channeled them into a whole new genre, Gothic horror. Her novel Frankenstein is a perfect romantic text, exploring the terror that comes with profound and often frightening change.
Okay, we have covered a huge amount of ground. So now let's pull it all together into one simple, powerful memory map to make sure it sticks for your exam.
Look at this pyramid. At the very top, the core idea. Romanticism is all about emotion, the individual, and nature. This core idea was a great reaction against two things: the cold reason of neoclassicism and the dehumanizing Industrial Revolution. The spark that ignited this reaction, the French Revolution and its ideals. And finally, at the base, you have the titans who defined the age: Wordsworth, Coleridge, Byron, and the Shelleys. That's it. That is the entire movement on one slide. And I'll leave you with this final thought. If Romanticism was the rebellion of the human heart against the machine of reason and industry, what great rebellion of ideas is happening right now in our own time? That's your explanator on Romanticism. Good luck with your studies.